Thank you for my kids, though. All three of them. I don't regret none of them. But I regret you. I don't regret my kids. You're good, Daddy. You all right. I don't regret them. Not none of them. Not none of them. You. I regret you. I'm too good for you. I've always been too good for you.
It's about moving on, like, peacefully. That's what the message is supposed to be, moving on peacefully. It's all love, peace, like, it's love.
Baby daddies are embarrassing this because Offset, why you up there playing with Cardi B like that? If y'all didn't see that little post in the lead, he tried to look, you know what I'm saying, be funny about. First of all, if I had 3 kids, 4 kids almost with him, and you up here sitting up here playing with me, like, he is so childish. So if y'all ain't seen what he posted or whatever, he posted a picture, I guess a screenshot of Maury, and I guess it's seen with that DNA test and stuff like that right there. Like, all this tit for tat stuff, he is so hurt, bro. Whole time you was doing that girl down and dirty, getting this, they said you sweetie, they said you Ari, they said you Sean, they said you the gang, and you up here making her life hell.
Explosive drama is shaking the entire hip-hop scene. Word on the street is that Offset has allegedly demanded a DNA test right in the middle of his divorce mediation with Cardi B. What started as a messy post, quickly thrown up and then deleted by the Migos rapper, has now spiraled into a full-blown war. We're talking paternity doubts, secret affairs with house staff, money games, and accusations so wild they could wreck both of their legacies forever. Reports from Gossip of the City claim Offset specifically asked for a DNA test on his youngest daughter, Blossom, during mediation. But insiders insist this is only the surface. Behind the glitz, the whispers get darker. Rumors of endless cheating, shady financial moves, and even an alleged protection system meant to keep the dirtiest secrets of their marriage locked away. Cardi hasn't stayed silent either. She fired back saying, "I don't have to do no DNA test. My baby father don't ask me to do no DNA test. The receipt is in my kid's face." But behind closed doors, things don't look nearly as simple. Industry insiders are buzzing that both Offset and Cardi are hiding evidence that could flip the narrative overnight. This isn't just a split, it's the kind of scandal that could shake the foundations of hip-hop's most talked about couple. This feud isn't just messy, it's downright destructive with the potential to permanently crush reputations. That Maury Povich Instagram post, it wasn't some random joke. It was a calculated shot. A mind game aimed straight at Cardi. Insiders say Offset knew exactly what he was doing, timing the post perfectly to line up with their ugly divorce battle, making sure the sting would hit when the world was watching. According to Gossip of the City blog, just 2 weeks ago, Offset went as far as requesting a DNA test for Blossom during mediation, turning what was supposed to be private legal talks into a public circus. Suddenly, fans don't even know what to believe anymore about a couple once praised as rap royalty. And the choice of Maury Povich? That wasn't coincidence either. Everyone knows Maury's iconic line, "You are not the father." By posting it, Offset wasn't just throwing shade. He was blasting Cardi with a worldwide megaphone, basically putting her on trial in front of millions. The crazy part? Even people who don't like Cardi admit Blossom looks just like Offset, which makes this move feel even more ruthless and humiliating. What makes this whole situation cut even deeper is how an innocent baby has been dragged into the chaos. Offset's move didn't just target Cardi, it weaponized their 9-month-old child's identity, turning Blossom into a pawn in a vicious chess match. Sources close to the drama say this isn't just a breakup, it's a calculated war meant to shred Cardi's credibility, while Offset paints himself as the betrayed one. But behind all the headlines sits an even darker truth. Word is, Offset's demand for that DNA test came only after Cardi herself had admitted to cheating while pregnant with Blossom. That confession has become the smoking gun both sides keep firing back at each other, fueling what insiders are already calling one of the most toxic divorce battles in hip-hop history. The weight of that betrayal tied to a child reportedly haunted Offset for months. Sources claim he was constantly questioning whether Blossom was truly his, even as he kept up a smiling family image for the public. That double life, putting on the show of a united household while privately drowning in suspicion, has been eating away at both of them, pushing their mental state to the edge. What makes this whole saga cross the line from messy celebrity drama into something far more sinister is just how calculated Offset's move appears to be. Reports claim he deliberately waited until the divorce mediation, the moment when it would sting the most, to throw down the DNA demand. And that timing says it all. This wasn't about peace of mind, it was about power, leverage, and crushing Cardi where it hurt most: custody and money. The emotional fallout on Cardi has been brutal. Insiders say she's been forced to not only defend her loyalty as a wife, but now her integrity as a mother, all while trying to shield Blossom from becoming collateral damage in this very public battlefield. Industry voices are calling it systematic emotional warfare, the kind of psychological pressure that doesn't just hurt, it breaks you down piece by piece. And the whispers get even darker. Sources claim Offset has been running a pattern that experts are straight up calling psychological terrorism. This includes rumored affairs with household staff, scandals that don't just scream betrayal but expose disturbing power dynamics inside their own home. These housekeeper rumors haven't been confirmed officially, but the chatter has been around for months. People close to Cardi say she picked up on the red flags, like certain staff members suddenly disappearing or her going live and ranting about loyalty and betrayal without naming names. It's the kind of smoke that suggests there's definitely fire hiding somewhere. What makes these accusations cut the deepest is the claim that Offset's alleged cheating wasn't just about stepping out, it was with people who actually worked inside their home. That detail alone flips everything upside down because it means these weren't equal relationships. These were individuals financially tied to their household, making the whole situation toxic. The lines between business and personal life weren't just blurred, they were shattered, leaving both Offset and Cardi wide open to legal headaches that could explode if the wrong details ever surface. Insiders say this wasn't the behavior of someone sneaking around for thrills. This was about control, power, and dominance. The very place that should have been their sanctuary, a safe space for their kids, was allegedly turned into a war zone where trust, loyalty, and even basic respect were thrown out the window. Instead, it became about Offset's need for gratification and the psychological grip he could hold over everyone under that roof. Cardi, meanwhile, hasn't backed down in public. She clapped back at the speculation with fire, saying, "I don't have to do no DNA test. My baby father don't ask me to do no DNA test. The receipt is in my kid's face. All my kids look like their daddy." But while she stands tall in front of the cameras, sources whisper a different story behind closed doors, that the constant questioning of her motherhood has left her devastated, broken down by the humiliation of having her role as a mother dragged through the mud in front of millions. Cardi's defensive stance shows just how deep these psychological cuts have gone. Offset's calculated campaign hasn't just forced her to defend her loyalty as a partner, it's pushed her into the painful position of having to fight for her integrity as a mother. On the surface, she tries to project strength, building an image of a woman who refuses to be disrespected by any man, but behind that armor, the toll is heavy. Insiders say that in private, Cardi has been carrying a crushing emotional weight. She's been forced to constantly prove her worth as a mother, defending the legitimacy of her children while also shouldering the day-to-day grind of raising 3 young kids, largely on her own. And yes, she's rich, she's powerful, and she's one of the biggest names in the game. But even with all that, this battle cuts her down to the most basic struggle, fighting for respect in her own home. That's what makes her situation so heartbreaking. Despite the money, the fame, the bravado, and the independence, she's been reduced to the same cruel cycle so many women face, having to justify her very existence as a mother and her children's right to be seen without question. Industry voices are calling this out as nothing less than psychological abuse, masked under the thin excuse of paternity doubts. And when it comes from someone she once trusted with everything, that's not just betrayal, it's a demolition of dignity itself. The timeline of this entire mess shows just how cold and calculated it really is. Reports trace the pattern of manipulation back almost a full year, with insiders saying Offset's moves weren't random. They were strategic, step after step, like a long game designed to break Cardi down. According to Gospel the City, that DNA test request 2 weeks ago during mediation wasn't the start. It was the climax of months of psychological warfare meant to strip away Cardi's confidence and hand Offset the upper hand in their bitter divorce battle. And the Maury Povich post, that wasn't some careless swipe on social media. It dropped right before a critical custody negotiation, and legal experts are calling that textbook emotional manipulation. It was a stunt crafted to publicly humiliate Cardi as a mother while flipping the script to make Offset look like the victim of betrayal and deception. The timing couldn't have been more brutal or more intentional. What makes it all so disturbing is how clear the pattern looks when laid out. It mirrors classic abuse tactics. Experts point out how an abuser chips away at their partner's self-esteem in private, questions their credibility, then goes public with attacks meant to isolate them from their support system and poison public opinion. For Cardi, that means she's not just battling a divorce. She's up against a psychological war that's playing out in real time, with millions watching. Platform accountability is now front and center in this storm. Verified reports show that streaming sites and social platforms didn't just sit back, they actually profited from pushing this toxic circus, turning real-life pain into clicks and cash. Instead of stepping in when private disputes spiraled into public harassment, they let the chaos grow, even when it dragged innocent kids into the spotlight. Kick in particular has been called out, with its history of looking the other way as shady activity thrived, a pattern that mirrors how social media algorithms boost Offset and Cardi's mess, rewarding the most toxic, damaging content while burying anything that tries to bring reason into the conversation. Insiders say both Offset's camp and Cardi's team have leaned into this digital war, working with social media managers to weaponize platforms for maximum effect. Instagram Lives, Twitter Spaces, what should have been personal outlets, have turned into battlegrounds where heartbreak is broadcast like reality TV, feeding millions of followers hungry for drama, not truth. Experts warn this isn't just messy celebrity gossip, it's systematic digital warfare. The fan bases themselves have been weaponized, with supporters on both sides launching coordinated harassment campaigns against family, friends, and even business associates. What should have stayed behind closed doors has been blown open, transforming private relationship problems into public blood sport where no one, not even the children, is safe from the fallout. These public crusades may be making platforms rich, but behind the screens, they're destroying lives in real time. And when you peel back the layers, the alleged abuse goes far beyond the headlines of cheating. Sources describe what looks like systematic psychological warfare, a campaign aimed at breaking down Cardi's mental health and crushing her confidence as both a woman and a mother. Insiders claim this isn't just about shady rumors or petty fights. It's a mix of public humiliation, private intimidation, and calculated manipulation of their shared social and business circles. Verified reports from industry insiders paint a disturbing picture of Offset allegedly crossing lines that most couples never recover from. The accusations include sending explicit videos to people Cardi was connected with, making violent threats, and even weaponizing their children in custody battles to inflict maximum psychological damage. These aren't the actions of a man seeking peace. They're the tactics of someone playing the dirtiest game possible, where the goal isn't just winning, but leaving the other person broken in the process. The abuse hasn't just been emotional, it's financial too. Sources claim Offset has been deliberately withholding child support while at the same time demanding DNA tests to question his own children's paternity. This double-edged tactic forces Cardi into an impossible bind. She has to prove herself worthy as a mother, while also carrying the entire financial weight of raising their kids on her own. What makes it even more twisted is how it's all been disguised under the cover of legal proceedings. By hiding behind court filings and mediation, Offset has allegedly turned the justice system into a weapon, making his moves look legitimate while insiders insist the real goal is psychological control. And when traditional manipulation didn't work anymore, sources say Offset escalated straight to what experts call the nuclear options. That includes allegedly leaking private, intimate videos and orchestrating coordinated smear campaigns on social media, all calculated to torch Cardi's reputation and poison her business ties through systematic character assassination. The desperation becomes crystal clear when you step back and look at the bigger picture. Offset's own career has been stalling while Cardi's continues to soar higher and higher. Insiders believe what we're seeing isn't righteous anger over cheating. It's professional jealousy dressed up as moral outrage. Whether those infidelity rumors are exaggerated, twisted, or flat out invented, they've been used as the perfect smokescreen for a battle that's as much about power and pride as it is about love gone wrong. Industry insiders reveal that several big-name brands have already started pulling back from Offset, quietly cutting ties as his erratic behavior and nonstop public attacks on the mother of his kids spiral further out of control. Meanwhile, Cardi's camp has been working around the clock to contain the chaos and shield her image from the fallout of what many now call a harassment campaign gone way too far. The pattern is hard to ignore. It paints the picture of a man losing his grip, both personally and professionally, and lashing out in reckless, dangerous ways. Law enforcement sources even confirm they've got eyes on the situation, monitoring for signs that this digital war could escalate into something physical. That alone has raised alarms inside the industry. And yet, despite the growing risks, social media platforms continue to hand Offset the tools and the audience to fuel his campaign. Experts are warning this isn't just celebrity drama anymore. It's crossed legal lines and carries very real threats to safety. Even French authorities and domestic violence specialists have started paying attention, pointing out that this case proves one chilling truth. Fame and money can't protect victims from systematic abuse when the system itself enables the abuser's platform. Cardi's situation shines a harsh light on how even the wealthiest, most successful women can end up trapped in cycles of psychological abuse dressed up as relationship disputes. Legal experts point out that despite her rumored net worth of over $80 million, Cardi has been forced into the same position countless victims face, constantly defending her reality while her abuser flips the script through public manipulation and smear campaigns meant to paint her as unstable or untrustworthy. Sources say Offset's alleged playbook is chillingly systematic. It includes isolation tactics aimed at cutting Cardi off from her own support network, mutual friends, family members, even business associates. Insiders claim he's been spreading whispers about her mental health, her parenting, and even her professionalism, all in an effort to weaken her credibility and box her into a corner. What makes this case stand out in the fight for domestic violence awareness is how clearly it shows the same patterns repeat, no matter the level of fame or fortune. Abuse is abuse, whether it happens in a small home or under the flashing lights of superstardom. The only difference here is the scale, with social media platforms and industry connections acting as amplifiers, turning private warfare into a global spectacle. And instead of shutting it down, those very systems have given the perpetrator more weapons, bigger stages, louder microphones, and the power to wage psychological warfare in real time. Offset's defense strategies have been met with widespread disgust. His legal team has tried to spin the systematic harassment and psychological warfare as nothing more than legitimate concerns about paternity and normal divorce proceedings. But the evidence piling up tells a very different story. One that looks like a coordinated campaign of abuse aimed at breaking down Cardi's mental health and wrecking her reputation. In court, his camp has tried to reframe months of documented harassment as mutual conflict, while painting Offset as the victim of a vindictive ex-wife allegedly keeping him from his children. But insiders and legal experts are calling it what it is: textbook gaslighting. The reality, backed by reports, shows Offset as the consistent aggressor, while Cardi has been forced into defense mode just to protect her family and her name. And the transparency of this strategy has already backfired in a big way. Legal experts point out that trying to weaponize family court while simultaneously running harassment campaigns in public doesn't make Offset look like a victim. It strengthens Cardi's position in custody proceedings. Even worse for him, it leaves the door wide open for potential criminal liability tied to stalking and harassment claims. What makes these defense attempts especially pathetic is how heavily they lean on tired victim-blaming narratives. The argument boils down to blaming Cardi for Offset's behavior, while at the same time trying to justify his actions as natural reactions to her alleged infidelity. It's a desperate move, one that exposes not just a weak defense, but a man running out of options. The contradictions in Offset's defense are glaring, exposing how manufactured his grievances really are, and just how cruel the strategy is behind his so-called concern for his children. This entire case has ripped the mask off the dark economy of celebrity drama, where platforms, media outlets, and content creators cash in on amplifying the ugliest, most toxic parts of private disputes. Meanwhile, the actual human cost on Cardi, on Offset, and most tragically on their children is ignored. Those kids will grow up with this chaos carved into the internet forever, a permanent digital scar. Now the spotlight is growing hotter as high-profile voices begin speaking out. Other celebrities and domestic violence advocates are rallying behind Cardi, while insiders whisper that major players in the music industry are quietly worried. They see Offset's behavior not just as a personal scandal, but as a reflection of the hip-hop community's broader struggles with its treatment of women. What started as a messy breakup has now become a cultural flashpoint, a watershed moment forcing the industry to reckon with the consequences of letting abuse play out as public entertainment. Cardi's ordeal stands as a brutal reminder that behind the memes, hashtags, and streams, there are real people enduring real damage. Corporate greed and social media algorithms have created an environment where systematic abuse isn't just tolerated, it's monetized, packaged, and sold to the masses. And while the platforms profit, the victims are left alone to deal with the wreckage. Psychological scars, financial hits, and reputations dragged through the mud. Insiders say the backlash is already triggering a domino effect across the industry, one that could permanently shift how celebrity scandals are handled moving forward. The fallout is hitting where it hurts most, the money and the music. Reports say multiple business relationships are stalling, longtime allies are quietly backing away, and major brands are making calculated moves to avoid being seen with either Cardi or Offset. What was once marketable drama has now crossed the line into full-blown liability, and nobody wants to risk being tied to it. The ripple effect goes deeper than just photo ops. Insiders reveal that potential collaborators, artists, producers, even sponsors who might have jumped at a chance to work with Cardi or Offset in the past are suddenly pulling back. The reasoning is simple. In an industry built on image, aligning yourself with such a bitter public custody war could stain your own reputation. And in music, perception can matter just as much, if not more, than talent. What makes this backlash especially devastating is how self-reinforcing it's become. The more people step away, the more visible the isolation gets. And as that distance grows, it signals to everyone else that associating with either party is risky business. The result? A downward spiral that's hard to stop. Momentum slipping away, doors closing, and reputations getting harder to rebuild. In an industry where careers can rise or collapse overnight, this scandal is proving that even the biggest stars aren't untouchable when the drama turns too toxic. The brutal truth revealed by multiple reports is that Cardi and Offset's careers have been deeply tied to their relationship narrative from the very start. But what once fueled their fame has now turned toxic. an engine running on fumes as fans grow tired of the non-stop chaos, court battles, and messy headlines. Their so-called love story has officially flipped into a cautionary tale about the dangers of turning private relationships into public currency for clout and career gain. For Cardi, the cracks are showing in the way she continues to address her breakup through social media. Instead of letting her artistry speak for itself, she leans heavily on Instagram rants, strategic posts, and fiery live streams aimed at controlling the divorce narrative. Yes, they spark temporary engagement, but industry insiders warn they're eroding her long-term credibility, making it harder for her to stand as an independent artist outside of the constant relationship drama. The DNA test scandal put this weakness under a microscope. Without the relationship headlines driving attention, both Cardi and Offset's creative output has struggled to resonate on its own. That dependency has left them boxed into a dangerous corner, needing to distance themselves from the toxic dynamic to protect their careers, while simultaneously realizing the drama is the very thing that keeps them in the spotlight. It's a no-win trap that threatens to collapse everything they've built if they can't break free from it. At the same time, neither Cardi nor Offset has been able to generate the same level of buzz without the constant stream of controversy their relationship provides to blogs, social media, and the entertainment press. The timeline of their public breakdown, now capped off by these explosive allegations, reveals something even darker: a deep dependence on drama as the fuel for their fame. Industry voices say the cracks in their artistry have been clear for a while. Recent projects from both sides have been described as hollow, lacking the authentic creative spark and compelling vision that separate true icons from fading stars. Instead of delivering music and ventures that move the culture, they've leaned into manufactured scandals and strategic stunts that grab headlines but have no substance. Cardi's business ventures and musical drops haven't been able to command the same cultural weight as her relationship meltdowns, while Offset's solo career still hasn't carved out an identity beyond his Migos legacy or his role as Cardi's embattled partner. Together, their downfall exposes a hard truth. They may know how to market themselves, stir conversation, and trend online, but without the drama, they're struggling to prove they have the raw creative instincts to carry sustainable careers on their own. The end result of all this very public chaos is painfully clear. Cardi and Offset have become better at turning personal trauma into social media engagement than at creating music or projects that genuinely captivate audiences and earn industry respect. Their constant reliance on spectacle has stripped away the artistry, leaving behind a reputation built more on scandal than on substance. And now, those flashy, expensive PR campaigns meant to clean up the mess only come across as desperate cover-ups for the creative shortcomings they can't outrun. What once looked like power moves now feels hollow, a cycle of manipulation and drama that can't mask the lack of authentic growth as artists. No matter how explosive the controversy, it can't substitute for timeless content or real cultural impact. And that's the brutal truth this saga has exposed. In the long run, both Cardi and Offset risk being remembered not for their music or their legacy, but as cautionary tales. Tales of what happens when perception is prioritized over authentic artistic development, when the spotlight is fed by conflict instead of creativity. A love story turned war, a brand turned scandal, and two stars who may have played the game so hard, they lost the very careers they were fighting to protect.